All right, guys. So today I want to watch and react to Justin Trudeau banning handguns on sale. This is from this podcast right here. I'm gonna leave the link in the description down below. You guys can check it directly and support the channel. I want to see what they had to say about Canada and they banning everything. And I'm gonna give my 2 cents and see where we can go from there.
Posted this on Twitter. If you can go to my Twitter account, I just kind of want to share with this. Last night, I'm really zooming a little bit more so we can see it. Yeah, go a little lower. So Justin Trudeau's video, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. So he says this message here, and I tweeted it out, and I say, why just guns? Nearly 1,900 fatalities last year from car accidents in Canada, while 277 fatalities from guns in the same year. Since you're so concerned about the lives of people, let's get real tough and ban all cars, right? Because that's 7 times the amount of people that died from cars than they did with guns.
Sure.
So the solution isn't to just say, well,
Good point.
let's ban all guns. Okay,
point, good
fine.
point.
So his proposal that he proposes limits on size of magazines. I think it's 5 rounds. Nobody should have more than 5 rounds. Harsher criminal penalties for trafficking guns. Fine. A red flag gun law. Stripping firearm licenses from people involved in domestic violence.
Bro.
Okay, that's kind of what he wants to do. Then if you go above it, and I kind of want to run this by you as well, go a little higher. So I asked the question. I post a video that we had with Catalina Lauf, if you remember when we talked about what happened in San Antonio. Go a little higher, go a little higher, go a little higher. That one right there, click on that one. So I said, okay. So because both sides, they're so emotional. You're not going to take away my guns. You're going to have to go through my M16 if you want to take my gun. You can, and how can you be so this? And there's no way. Do you not understand life?
Okay, I know you're playing both sides of the equation. I understand that. I really understand that and respect that. And I know you trying to get what you need to get to make sure you get some attracted to your content. But we have to speak the truth. And one side's not gonna like the truth. That's the real talk. That's the objectivity we're trying to get this. It's not a two-sided thing. There's something called the truth, and we need to just dig into it. That's it.
Lives were lost. So I said, okay, perfect. How would you improve or reform our current gun laws in U.S.? Comment below and like the ones you like the most. So I want to kind of read you what some of the people on Twitter said yesterday. Just kind of get your view. So first one says, get the mentally ill people the help they need. Kind of like what you just talked about. Make constitutional carry the law in all 50 states. You can tell where that guy lives.
Yeah, he got a point. I mean, listen. People are not gonna shoot you unless they know you can shoot back. Simple. Right? If you go to a school, that was what happened, and my heart goes to those people that have lost, their loved one in this tragedy. But if there was someone just ready to shoot back, this would not be a discussion. But we don't want to have this discussion. We want to just have different discussion, right?
Leans. Repeal the NFA. I think he wanted to say NRA, but maybe he's saying the NFA. Repeal ATF. Okay, go show more replies so we can see it. Give everyone BB guns. He's trying to be funny. Educating our society first. Fine. Mandatory safety training. Takes a few hours, provides a certificate, and send them home with a locking case for the firearm. Doesn't seem unreasonable to train people who are buying guns. Psych meds equals no firearms. I kind of agree with that one. Keep going lower.
Reasonable.
GTA 5, go, okay. Well, morality, let's see what the next one. First and foremost, I would prohibit big pharma to market directly to consumer. That's a complete different conversation,
right?
Weird. Mental health is the issue, not guns. Goes back to what you're saying. Mental health, not so much. The problem is the ease of accessibility to buy guns, because people with mental health will always be there. So let's find a way to stop these people from acting on their evil thoughts.
Let me just say a comment about that. The gun is just basically a extension of who you are. It is extension. It's like when you in martial arts, they always say the weapon is always an extension to yourself. So like how you throw your punches, that's how you're gonna throw your hits with the gun. I mean, not with the gun, with your weapon. The weapon is just an extension of yourself. Let's say you buy all the guns. They're gonna still gonna find the guns illegally, and they have a 3D printer. They can print them out. And let's just say that you can just go one of these projects here in the city. You can just find the gun easily, right? How that being an illegal situation could be stopped by banning guns or restricted gun laws? Make no sense. In Puerto Rico, they have very strong gun laws. And you go to these projects, people have shotguns and an AK-47 when they're already banned by the state. And they all know it. San Juan, Bayamon, Cagua, all these places, they have all big guns. They have automatic weapons when in the United States they are banned. How are we going to stop these people doing that? And these people are killing other peoples. It's so between 900 to 1,000 a year. How are you going to stop them? And you cannot say it comes from the United States because it comes down from Colombia. And we are in United States jurisdiction. How is that going to change things? It can. Because in order for you to just get a gun in the island, it's almost impossible. And thank God there's people just fighting for the Second Amendment. But it put you in a different situation, though.
Okay, 6-month wait list.
Let me just
That's
calm
a
down.
long time. Background checks and national register. This kid planned this for 2 years. How does that change or stop anything? Good argument.
Good
Counter
argument.
argument to him.
Good
I
point.
would say let's revoke every unconstitutional law in 50 states, D.C., and territories.
Yeah.
Let as
Hasn't
many
worked.
people as want to any place in America conceal carry. Murderers and criminals would soon change their bad habits. What do you think about that? That's an interesting take. I don't think we have a gun law issue. I think we have a law enforcement issue.
No.
Any form of gun control is unconstitutional. Abolish all forms of gun laws. Anyways, this keeps going on. Somebody said 25 years old, same age as renting a car. Then the argument back is,
You're
well, if
playing
an
with the rights
18-year-old
of
can go to
people now.
war, why shouldn't an 18-year-old be able to carry a gun? Well, then, are we more comfortable with an 18-year-old carrying a gun rather than carrying a beer? Because alcohol is 21 years old in many states, right? So the part here is both sides seem to be screaming off the top of their lungs on what they want. No one is really willing to sit down and have a conversation about it.
With all due respect, we having the conversation right now. You read the comment. That's having the conversation. We're not gonna sit down on a table just to discuss this. Those are solutions. We need to choose one of the solutions. Just go with it. We already had this conversation. We implementing more laws, gun laws. This is not working. Clearly something's wrong. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is either. But a conversation for what?
Which argument have you seen from the side that is not the conservative side that you've said, I think they do have some kind of a point? Should we increase the age? Should we do a little bit more training before somebody can just buy a gun and leave the place? What should we do to improve some of the issues surrounding guns?
I agree with the idea that if you're getting drug treatment for psychological problems, that should be automatically prohibitive in terms of gun ownership.
All right.
I agree with people who are guilty of domestic violence. That should restrict firearms ownership. And I'm answering your question because you asked me what solutions have come from the left, okay, that I would agree with. But most solutions from the left I don't agree with.
Yeah.
My bias is always to give more freedom to people, not less.
Yeah.
I said earlier,
You want these people that just really wanna take your rights out just to come in the middle, man? We're not doing that, bro. We all agree that we are in a constitutional republic. We don't. We don't come into the middle grounds with this, man. That's my point. That's my point with these conversations, man. It's can we blame people for this, man? Can we be responsible? We're not taking care of the ill people, the mental health. Why are we not talking about the mental health of Americans? We're talking about guns because the guns the easiest thing, right? And you just
that I do believe in background checks. I do, providing they're
we
not
already have them,
abused
yeah.
by government. And you always have to suspect government because
Always.
the inclination in government, like for example in Washington D.C., where they abuse background checks, in New York City to the point
New York
where
City's
they
bad,
are
bro.
basically rescinding people's Second Amendment rights, and that's not right. Government has proven itself so greedy of power, and most Americans, the population that is all for gun control and all the rest, they don't understand, or maybe they just don't care, that the Second Amendment is there for a reason. It's not for recreation. It's not for sports and hunting. It's because in the Federalist Papers, when the colonies were convinced to form a federal government with a government in Washington, that we needed an armed citizenry to be the last bastion of defense against tyranny. The Constitution and the Second Amendment that's in there was written by a revolutionary generation. The first battle of the American Revolution was a question of over firearms. The British were going to Lexington and Concord to confiscate the militia's guns and gunpowder and disarm the citizenry so they could be oppressed.
Makes sense, man.
And the founders knew that. So this business about
They knew it.
Second Amendment rights, being for hunting rights and recreational, that's not why we have a Second Amendment. It's because the people, and we know this not.
We need men, man. We need men, man. We need fathers. We need masculinity on this state, man, because people are just scared, man, to confront reality, bro. We can fix a lot of these problems. Just put a guard in front. Put a guard with that AR-15, man, and that gun. That is ready to just pull someone out. I have to talk like this. But there has to be a moment that we have to have some kind of, nuts. Just do what we have to do.
Just in our own American Revolution, but in every tyranny that has arisen in history, they try to disarm the people and make them sheep so that they are powerless against the government. So we need to be extremely protective of the power. I think the gun laws are too restrictive in terms of the types of firearms. Not only should
New York City
the business
crazy,
about limiting magazines,
crazy,
no.
Man.
Jersey. I think you can make
let's not even
a
talk
good
about
practical
Jersey,
and
man.
constitutional case that
Boston,
Americans should be allowed to own firearms that are equivalent to military-grade firearms.
Yeah,
because of that role. Now,
do you think America needs more guns or less guns?
I think it needs more good guns.
What does that mean?
There you go.
I think it needs more
Stand
guns
back.
so that if it became necessary to have a second American Revolution, the average American would stand a chance.
Yeah.
The average sporting rifle or shotgun, do a test sometime and take it out to a firing range and see how many rounds you can put through it before it starts jamming up. You'll find that a sporting rifle, actually can't do sustained fire for very long.
But you're saying that Americans need more militaristic type weapons
more like a
in
libertarian
average
kind of guy.
American hands? For
Yeah.
what reason? To fight against the government?
Because I'm increasingly fearful that we're heading toward a tyranny, and that the reason the government wants to confiscate guns and restrict gun ownership is because they want to have a tyranny over us.
There's a faction that says we already have way too many guns here in the United States. I mean, I think we have, Tyler, I think I sent you some of these stats. We have 4% of the world's population.
Bro. Here we go.
What percentage of the world's guns do you
Here we go with the little sound bites. It sounds very good. Let's see what these guys have to say.
think we have?
I don't know. I don't know.
Take a guess.
55%.
50%.
That's exactly right. We have
What's your point,
4% of the world's population. We have 50% of the world's firearms. You say that we should have more and more
Bro, what's your point, man?
Do you know
militaristic type guns?
in Switzerland?
I'm just stating facts. I'm not like I'm
Yeah.
just giving.
No.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're stating facts, right? It's incomplete. What are you supposed to do? Feel sorry because we have more guns, man? You didn't hear what the guy say? What was the reason we always have guns?
I am saying that. I'm saying I see no reason in a constitutional republic where the people are supposed to be in charge, okay, and that we don't belong to the government. We're not the property of the government. We're supposed to be free, independent people. That we need to have the ability to protect our liberties and protect ourselves from our own government, which has become increasingly
Very
intrusive and
tyrannical.
oppressive, and
Sad, bro.
and the trend line is going away from being a constitutional republic to becoming a tyranny. I don't think we're actually a constitutional republic anymore. I think we're currently a tyranny, but we're in the soft phases of tyranny.
But isn't the biggest problem right now protecting innocent kids, not so much the government trying to...
Bro, I know he's trying. Let me just calm down.
come after you?
Well, that's certainly the biggest immediate problem because we've had this issue, but I think thinking people have to take a longer view. And it's in addition to protecting our children, and our children, by the way, I think have to be protected from our government too. You know, I am extremely, of course, it's tragic that those children were killed by that person, by that mentally deranged person, but it wasn't the gun that killed those people. It was the public policy the government has followed that has put lunatics like that out in the street, and government has changed the policies so that our situation is more dangerous. I'm very concerned about a government, that thinks that child abuse, institutionalized child abuse, is okay, and that's what we've got when you're teaching kindergartners through third graders, for example, about transsexuality, and having and expecting teachers to educate our children on matters that when I was...
They're not even stable. So you're asking a government that is throwing all these things, man, to be stable to protect your kids when they're not even protecting them? It's just show you the Americans are not really understanding the conversation. Throwing soundbites and stuff like that just to make sure that you understand what the hell's going on. No, bro, you haven't think about this. You're opening your mouth and things that, you might not know what's going on, right? It's good that you're asking questions, but you have to be careful in how you enter this arena, right? You have to be very careful.
Growing up, if a stranger in a park came up to you and started talking to you about the things that we have encourage our elementary school teachers to talk to our children about, that person would be arrested as a child predator, but we have government sanctioning that and doing that to our children. Is
that really that pervasive of a problem? I get that there's some teachers that do that, but is that sort of a straw man approach that all these kids,
no, it's not,
are being
sir.
indoctrinated?
Sir, it is not a straw man. It's being done all across the country.
Oy. Bro, you're not paying attention. I told you. You're getting into an arena that you might not know what the hell you're talking about. And right now, the guy just correcting you. You shouldn't have done that, bro. I told you. Did I tell you a couple of seconds ago? You want me to rewind it?
Parents all across the country are up in arms and being arrested in school board meetings for trying to protect their children from child abuse.
By the way, if I may, there is way more of that happening than
yes,
the gun issues that we're having.
Course,
just
bro.
so you know, there is not even 10 times more.
There's way more what issues?
There's way more of the teachers trying to influence kids'
bro.
way
You're
of
having
thinking
TikTok.
with
You
what
got
he's
TikTok,
talking
you have
about with
Instagram.
transgenderism. There's 100 times more of that happening than the issue with guns. But the government's not putting their attention there. The government's going straight to guns. Let's address guns. Let's not think about the long-term ramifications of shifting the way kids think. We're not thinking about that. We're thinking about the finite war, not the infinite war. There's a big difference between a finite war and an infinite war. So I agree with that part there on what he's saying. Where you're going with this in regards to guns, can you put up that one thing he put up? By the way, you said 4% and 50%. Somebody could say, we are 4% of the world's population, but we are 20% of wealth. Okay, then what do you say about that?
Right.
So
we're
what's the point? Yeah,
we're
that's
that
a
much
good point.
freer than the rest of the world because we, unlike the rest of the world, own guns. So the fact that we own 50% of the world's guns, if that's true, I don't know that it is. But let me point out some other things.
we got
here,
5 minutes left. Go ahead.
All right. In Switzerland, every adult male, who is part of the Swiss militia, who can serve in the military is required to have an automatic military-grade weapon, an assault rifle, a real assault rifle, in their house, with hundreds of rounds of ammunition, so that if they're called up, that's Switzerland, which has some of the lowest gun crime, so-called gun crime, they phrase it, in the world. In the 19th century, before we had the kind of modern gun laws that we have now, where carrying firearms was very commonplace among people, the crime, the murder rates and the rest were much lower than they are today. It isn't the guns that are causing the crime. It's the culture that's causing.
Yeah,
the
we have to
crime.
go deeper into what's the reason
and I think
why.
that a lot of this is correlated with the destruction of our culture because of big government and the role that it plays, which is increasingly destructive. Yes, we need to be armed to protect ourselves from an increasingly predatory government, that is frankly not a constitutional republic, as I said before. And why did I say that? That's because in order to have a constitutional republic, you need at least two political parties, both political parties. Everybody has to obey the law and respect the Constitution. I think we ceased to be a constitutional republic at least from the first year of the Trump administration, with the Democrat Party engaged in unconstitutional and illegal behavior by bringing false charges against President Trump, that he was a Russian agent and that he needed to be invested. They knew that was a lie. They abused the law. They abused the Constitution to undermine a political opponent. And I think the 2020 elections were also stolen, by the Democrat Party. I think anybody who hasn't watched 2,000 Mules should watch it. But I think you don't even have to watch that. Just common sense would tell you that a guy like Biden,
80 million.
I don't know how many times he ran for president, 3-4 times, and he never got more than 2% of the vote. Now we're expected to believe that he got more votes than any president in American history. The 2020 elections were stolen. So
many will tell you that that's because Trump was hated that much, were people voting against him than voting for him.
Yeah, well, that's what they say. But watch 2,000 Mules and see what happened.
We had Dinesh on before, but so okay. This article, Switzerland has one of the highest rates of gun ownership in the world, but little gun-related street crime. So some opponents of gun control hail it as a place where firearms play a positive role in society. However, Swiss gun culture is unique, and guns are more tightly regulated than many assume. Okay. For me, the one part where the right has to use a little bit of, I don't know how, from my standpoint, there is nothing wrong with requiring a little bit of training. There's nothing wrong with give me a 1-day training, 2-day training, where I got to get a sign off, where I got to go to something, where I got to go shoot, or have somebody that's teaching me the base.
I kind of agree with that a little bit. Buy the gun. Let me give you 5 hours of training. You can do it this week or next week. Aim. Put back. This is how you disarm, and that's it. I think I'm okay with that.
Basics. A former vet or former military. I don't know. I think just sitting around and saying, yeah, it's not a big deal. It's not this. I would much rather have 100% of people that are on non-meds, non-domestic violence, non-mental issues. 100% of adults have a gun or a weapon that they are trained to use, then have 50% of America that are able to buy guns, and they have no experience to have any kind of weapons, training or how to use it. I'd much rather drive training. My idea is to drive training, drive education, drive being in a community to say, do this, be careful with this. When you're making a left turn with a car, look at this mirror, 10-2, basic stuff that we learned at 16 years old. Those 10, 20 basic things to teach somebody with guns that you can also tell them, certain things. I think there are some things we can do to improve in that area.
So if you like this clip and you want to watch another.
Oh, that was good. I just, I didn't react to the Justin Trudeau video itself, but I saw this. And I said, you know what, I saw a couple of the seconds, and I said, okay. Couple of seconds, like, you know what? Let me just react to this. The other guy is basically a guy that just takes snippets from here and there, and they say they sound good. They want to just put it out there, but then he just gets stopped by a wall. That's what happened. That's that kind of guy. It just shows you that we don't really understand the argument for guns and what's the importance of having guns in the United States and why it's the Second Amendment. It's not for hunting. It's not for shooting. It is to protect ourselves against a tyrannical government. Simple. You don't have to play with it. We don't have to just see other countries how they do things. That's the reason, and that's the reason why we are the freest country in the world, even though the federal government's increasing. And we can see how in the Civil War, the South have a huge power, and they went against the federal government at that time, and they demonstrate, you know, a huge um let's say adversary. And more importantly, I think now I understand the argument why even civilians need to have weapons at the same rate as the military. It because when things goes, if you have 100, if you have, think about it, you have AOCs and Nancy Pelosi in the Senate, in the House. What do you think is gonna happen exactly? Exactly. You think that the army gonna go in favor with the citizen? No, they have the oath for the Constitution. The Constitution or the politician? You start thinking about these things, and we see how Portland, Seattle, sometimes they deal with us. Their police deal with this stuff. It's just weird, man. You cannot rely on the government. You can't. It's better to have a gun, train yourself, and protect your family. I think that's the best way to go. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below, and I'm gonna really appreciate it.